Hey there, nomads of lore. I'm Sean.
And I'm Bree.
And she's my daughter, and this is normally Jonathan, but we are Made in Mischief, your home away from no home, and this is going to be our live stream discussing episode 8 math of Amazon's Wheel of Time TV show. And I'm going to check and make sure we're live. We're going to kind of spend a few minutes kind of talking about general thoughts and kind of more PSA type things and making sure our audio is good here right at the beginning while we give some time for get some people on. So Jonathan, if you haven't heard us talking about what we're going to do today, excuse me, Jonathan is not here today. Obviously, my lovely daughter Bree is here today. And because Jonathan is visiting family for Christmas, which is great. Merry Christmas, everybody. And Happy New Year soon and all of that. We actually are going to have a live stream on New Year's Day. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. Jonathan is going to be able to join us in the comments. So when you get a comment response from @MeetInMischief, that should be Jonathan, unless I say that I'm commenting or something. I'm on the computer as well. But mostly that'll be Jonathan, and he's going to be helping to kind of go through the comments and get us some things going. So while I kind of make sure everything's good and all of that, Bree, why don't you let us know how you're feeling about the episode in general?
The episode in general, I liked it. There was some stuff that I wasn't real fond of, but overall, I think it's one of my favorite episodes. Yeah.
Awesome. So what have you been thinking about the season? Now, I should say, I didn't say yet that this video, the video itself and the comment section is complete book spoilers. Now, there may come up some stuff from book 14. If I do, if either one of us say that we're going to talk about some stuff from book 14, then we may kind of give a shout out so Jonathan can close his ears for half a second, and we'll wave back in because he's not quite finished with the last book yet. And so there may be some stuff coming with that. But other than that, this video and the comment section are complete book spoiler filled. Pretty much anything is on the table there. And if somebody comes and watches this video later and happens to comment in the regular comment section that you should put a spoiler tag, you're welcome to tell them, well, they said this is a spoiler filled video. So, there it is. Now that out of the way, Bree has finished all 14 books. She listened to them on audio like I did. She's actually rereading them as well, like I am. She's further on her reread than I am. She's almost done with The Dragon Reborn, the third book, I believe is what she said. So tell us kind of about your feelings in general about the Wheel of Time book series and maybe some of your favorite characters or moments or just kind of your general impressions of the series as a whole there.
I think I really like the series. I mean, some of my favorite characters are, one of my favorite is Matt and Perrin are two of my favorite characters. And one of my favorite scenes is when, or this is kind of, it goes on throughout the book series, but in the first book, Rand gets sick and Matt takes care of him. And so but later in the book series, Matt kind of turns his back on him and Perrin stays closer, even though Matt was with him more in the beginning than Perrin. So right. I thought that was interesting, that how Matt was really okay with him just as a regular person, but when it came to be getting dangerous, he was like, "Nope, I'm leaving.
I'm gonna peace out." That's good. So Matt is your favorite character? Is that what you're saying?
Matt and Perrin.
Matt and Perrin in general. All right, that's good. So let's see. We should kind of get our PSA stuff. See, before I jump into that, say Jonathan's got a comment for me to look at. Aldan Mandracarmo. I assume it's Aldan, but other than that, I'm not sure that I pronounce it right. It says, "Merry Christmas, guys. Cheers. Merry Christmas to you, Aldan, Taishar, whatever your family is." Whatever. I know we in the fandom don't always use that phrase in a completely book accurate way, but Taishar Aldan. Anyway, Merry Christmas. So this is our opinion. my opinion, this is Bree's opinion, comments in the chat, maybe Jonathan's opinion, whatever else, and all of that stuff. You don't have to agree with us. In fact, we encourage you not to, because we like to hear different opinions as long as you provide them in a respectful way, because we like to hear what other people think, because it helps gives us new ideas, and we get to think about things in new ways. And so that's totally fine, and all of that, and encouraged. So yeah, that's true. What other PSA stuff am I missing? I should in our PSA kind of back end business keeping stuff tell you kind of upcoming what's going on. Of course, we got this live today. Next week, probably midweek sometime, Jonathan and I will put out our Take 2 reaction. It'll be kind of back to our normal format. Jonathan should be back by then, and we'll give you our updated thoughts on the season finale and kind of what we're thinking at that time, and whether our thoughts have changed or different, whether some things have gone up or down or whatever else, and all of that. And so that'll come up midweek. On New Year's Day at I think Jonathan has it scheduled for 11:30 a.m. Central. Jonathan and I are going to do a live back to normal format, and all of that. We're going to do a live season 1 wrap up and our discussions, and maybe do some ranking, and just kind of have a good time talking about season 1. And what I'm really excited about is our season 2 predictions and thoughts. That's the discussion that sounds like tons of fun to me. And so that's what's upcoming. Let's see. I don't have any new comments to take a look at, so let's dive in. So, Bree, what did you think about the cold open, the scene with Luz, Thera, and Telamon, and what is their name? I don't know.
I don't remember.
I don't remember her name, but yeah. What did you think about this cold open?
I liked it once I realized what was going on. I was really confused at first. I was like, what the heck is going on? But I figured it out, and then, yeah, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I can't remember in the books if it said that Luz Theron had a child, but I thought that was kind of interesting to show that he was an actual man, like just a regular person, not some
a lot of sadness
god person.
Potentially there. When we, again, it's full book spoilers. I know this is the prologue of book 1, but when he, murders his child and all of that. Oh!
Yeah.
Yeah. So what else? What did you think about the view of the more futuristic past setting and all of that? That's kind of more just hinted at in the books and that they showed.
That was really cool. It was fun to see how the breaking just pushed them back. And so it's like all those bad stuff happened. So they were too busy trying to not die, so they forgot what they had.
Yeah. So it was cool. My take on it is about the same right now. If I don't know whether you've watched our reaction, Jonathan and I's, it was a little different, and it was posted this morning instead of yesterday because internet and Christmas and all the things. My feelings about the cold open are about the same as it was there. If you happen to have already seen that, I liked it. I thought it was interesting. My only thought is I'm ready to see more of that, and I suspect we will. I suspect we'll get more from the Age of Legends once we get to Forsaken and them and some of their. I bet that we get some flashbacks from them and some stuff that we don't necessarily get real clearly in the books. But yeah, I thought it was neat. I was curious to see what some of the non-book readers thought about the cold open, because like Bree said, even to us book readers, it was a little bit like, what is happening right now? Who are these people? What's going on? And whatever else. And until we figured out, until we realized, of course, I'm sure a lot. And I'm sure that the non-book readers were like, what the heck? In fact, I've seen a few non-book readers reactions already. I got to watch, the nickname squad over there, our everybody's favorite everyday Negroes, right? They're great. Again, like I said before, if you haven't seen if you're one of the five Wheel of Time fans who haven't watched their content yet, go check it out because it's hilarious, and it's wonderful, and they're really spot on, and so they're really great. I watched that. I watched another few of them. Tori Talks TV, I think, is another one that I got to check out their reaction. And so a lot of the non-book readers kind of basically were like, what is this? I'm curious. I want to see more about it. So it's funny because they basically had the same thoughts I had, essentially. Now, I know more about what it is, right? But they basically have the same thoughts and feelings that I, a book reader, have, and that's awesome. And that's one of the really cool things about seeing non-book readers is they're asking the same questions and having the same excitement and interesting things. And I think that's a win as far as I can see. So before we jump out of the cold open, we've got a few more comments to read and talk about. Do you want to read the next one from Liam G here, and we can.
He said, genuinely enjoyed your content this year. Can't wait for some more. Be interested to know some book recommendations.
Oh, some more book recommendations. So, John, you should know that in the strictest of senses, we're actually, first of all, Liam, I'm glad you've enjoyed our content. We've enjoyed having you in our comment section on our lives and our regular videos. You've been really great, as have so many amazing commenters and community members and all that kind of stuff. And it's been super awesome. So thank you guys, everybody, and specifically Liam here. Y'all are great, and we appreciate you. And so book recommendations, you should know Jonathan and I are not, strictly speaking, booktubers. And we do enjoy sci-fi and fantasy, and we're not remotely as well read as many booktubers and all those kind of people. You know, I grew up reading Lord of the Rings, and I've introduced that to Bree and all of that, and so those kind of classics. And I've read a fair amount of sci-fi stuff. You know, I've read some Asimov and some Heinlein and some of the classics and Clarke and others. And then I've done some more recent classics like Ursula K. Le Guin and some of those, and enjoy those. And I've enjoyed Philip K. Dick and whatever. But specifically, kind of if you're thinking recommendations for related to Wheel of Time, if you followed more proper booktubers, you probably have any recommendations that I would suggest. One specifically that you may not have heard of, because it's not going to be talked about very much, because it's a lot lesser known author. He is a Christian author, which is why I've heard about him and whatever. But his books are not like overtly Christian. Kind of like, it's probably the same level as like Lord of the Rings, right? Where it's there's, you can definitely see the influences, and that's Stephen Lawhead. He's got his Dream Thief book just came back into print through Kickstarter, and it's really great. And his Empyrean cycle is also really great in the sci-fi realm. My absolute favorite of his, it's kind of a little bit more epic fantasy, is kind of from a Celtic slant, is his Song of Albion trilogy, and it's really great. And then of course, some of that you've obviously heard of, I'm sure. Brandon Sanderson's got incredible stuff. I'm firmly in the camp of Stormlight Archive lovers. I think it's amazing and awesome, and Mistborn's really great, and all of that stuff. I just recently started reading or listening to, technically, the First Law trilogy by Joe Abercrombie. I'm enjoying it so far. I'm kind of barely started it, so anyway, that's not a lot of recommendations, but we can talk more later, after the chat and stuff, and whatever else. And if y'all have book recommendations, I'm sure y'all can pop those in the chat as well. D-Rock specifically asked, I'll get to that comment from D-Rock here in just a second. So Bree, do you have any book recommendations in science fiction and fantasy that you enjoy? Maybe from a more young adult perspective, although she's clearly reading some cool stuff too.
I don't know. Most of the ones that I'm really enjoying right now are more based towards like early teen ages. So maybe if you're interested in that, let us know, and she'll pop those, or I can type them in the comments in a minute. So the next comment is from D-Rock. Again, another fairly regular commenter. Appreciate all your comments on all our other stuff. Was she in the book at all? I'm assuming you're. The books do not. Oh, was she in the? Oh, are we talking about Luz Theron's child?
Yeah, all I can think of is Ilya.
Yeah, wasn't it? I thought it was just her wife.
His wife, yeah.
His wife in the book is what I thought.
Yeah. I mean, definitely friends and whatever else. So I don't know. They were, the Everyday Negroes were super funny I loved their season 8. Watching that episode, all of us that have followed them were thinking, oh no, what are they going to say about Brother Book and his demise or not demise or whatever else? And oh no, they're going to be upset about that one, as a lot of us were too, I'm sure. But yeah, it was really, really great. So let's see. Thought the Age of Legends this is Aldan. Thought the Age of Legends background was cool. My daughter picked up straight that was the same background as episode 1 Ruins. So, the episode 1 Ruin, like the ruins in the back, like the towers and stuff. So that was cool. What I didn't like was the reasoning change for, Luce Theron to Cajun. His reasoning changed for Luce Theron caging the Dark One. So you're gonna have to kind of refresh my memory, or Bree may be able to. She's sometimes got a better memory for things than I do. I guess old brain or something. I don't remember. We didn't see. There's a lot more to the politics of that situation in the cold open. A lot more there that book readers kind of read into and think about. From what we saw in the cold open, I don't remember him saying much about his reasons for the dragon. Do you remember him saying anything about what?
As he left, he was talking to his daughter, and he was like, I'm about to make a better world for you, or whatever. About to make the world a better place is what he said, but that's about all he said.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't remember. You're gonna have to explain better, or explain with not necessarily better, but with more words. 'Cause I'm not really remembering. From what we saw in the cold open, I'm not really remembering a huge change. I know that a big, that there was the big debate there between Luce Theron and, is it Latra? I don't know. Is that right? Is that right, Bree?
I don't remember.
That's probably wrong. You can put it in the comments if that's wrong, or if I'm right, or whatever else, which would be, maybe a first. But the big debate there was he wanted to go and seal the boar and seal the Dark One or whatever, and she opposed him. And that was as a lot of that's been discussed in the fandom of that being a big thing that happened, and a big difference between what happens with Rand and Egwene now in this age versus what happened with them, and Egwene actually deciding to help and all of that. And so no Latra. I was wondering about Elo. What does that mean? Am I missing some context on a comment or something? Sorry. I don't know. Jonathan can put in the comments what I'm missing. I don't know if that name is right or something. I don't know. Jonathan's typing, so maybe he's going to help me figure out when the world. Yeah. So their debate, and the difference now. The difference now is Egwene helping. In fact, there's a popular fan theory that's not canon as far as I'm aware, that Egwene is actually her reborn and whatever else. And to me, I don't really care one way or the other about that fan theory, but because either way she made a different choice, and them working together, and that balance and that coming together, which is kind of a big theme that we're going to talk about in this episode, actually. That I think Rafe is actually making some improvements in that area, which we'll kind of get into and all of that. So let's see what comes next in the episode. So right after the cold open and all the stuff, we jump in and we see. I'll let you talk about this. Bree's been laughing about some of this since while we first watched it and all of that. So Moraine and Rand are walking through the blight and the woods, jungle, nastiness and all of that. And so what were your thoughts about that?
I thought it was funny that Moraine said, "Don't touch anything," and they touched basically everything. I was laughing about that through the whole episode, but I thought it was kind of cool, the bonding time that they have, and how she knows that she's not going to come back, but she's still going with him. She ended up coming back, but she thinks she's not going to.
Right. Yeah. All kinds. Yeah. So that was kind of fun and all of that. Yeah. D-Rock says, I was asking if Lots was in the books, not his child. I don't know that. I don't think she's in the books proper. Do you remember that? Because
no,
I think the only place that she's discussed and that whole thing is in one of the two companion novels, the World of the Wheel of Time or the other one. I don't remember which one, or she may come up in both, and so I think it's essentially like in the Lord of the Rings, Aragorn and Arwen's relationship is not in the books proper, but it's in the appendices. I think that's just kind of the same sort of idea. I don't think she is in the books. Maybe hinted at, but beyond that, I don't think she is. So they walk through the woods, and we got all of that, and Moraine says don't touch, and he still touches all the trees, which is quite comical, and all of those things. Let's see what happens next. So we get it jump. Let's kind of continue that thread. You can tell we're real prepared for this one. Christmas and changing things and rush. I was up till 2 or 3 in the morning getting the stuff between getting the video that we released this morning edited and ready, and then doing some last minute Christmas wrapping for my wife. I was up really late and got up relatively early because it's Christmas morning, and so my brain is probably a little bit foggy, and I've had because of Christmas had less time to prepare. As a commenter pointed out that maybe Rafe should have said at the beginning, had a disclaimer of yeah, we had a hard time, so cut us some slack. So, and he was being negative, of course, but I'm doing that. I'm tired, and we're a little less than prepared than normal, so cut me some slack, please. So I think in this episode, I was originally thinking kind of go scene by scene, but as I'm sitting here thinking about it, I think we'll go story thread, at least until we get to the climax. So, what did we think about the reveal of Ishamael, right? We're doing full book spoilers. I will also say that I was curious, again, I don't know if you watched our reaction, Jonathan and I's reaction video, but I was curious whether the X-ray lists the Dark One as Ishamael, and it does. It actually lists him as Ishamael or the Man, which I think is kind of comical a little bit. So what did you think about the removing of the boogeyman face and Ishamael and his characterization and all of that?
I mean, I thought with removing his mask, you don't really figure this out till later in the episode that he needs Rand to release him. But getting his mask off, Rand helped him do that by shooting at him, basically. And so it shows that he has to have help. Even no matter how powerful he is, he has to have help from Rand. And that just was kind of a glimpse into what he was trying to get him to do, maybe.
Right.
I don't know. Because, I mean, I think he was trying to get him to shoot at him. Maybe. Because, I mean...
That's a different take. I didn't even think about it in that way. But that you could be right. It could be Rand touching him, and all the connection there and trying to... That is very true to Ishamael's character, right? Him manipulating and doing all he can to bring Rand to his side and all of that. I didn't even think about it that way. I was kind of thinking about it more in just manipulating the Dream Shard / Teleon Rod / whatever / probably after watching some other videos and thinking about it myself, probably if we're gonna go with the best justification and what's going on, excuse me, with the way some of the magic and stuff works in the books. Probably the best explanation is that it's Ishamael invading Rand's dreams, at least until the, and whatever else, and not Dream Shard / Teleon Rayod, and specifically because I didn't think about this actually until watching Daniel Green's reaction video, which actually there are several things from this episode that I don't agree with him on, which is still a great video though, but was, Rand killing himself. That would have, if it was in Teleon Rayod, right, he would have injured himself or killed himself IRL. And they have shown, especially in this episode, there's some stuff that they may be playing a little bit fast and loose with some aspects of the magic, which we'll see what they do. And whether some of those are intentional or just kind of red herrings a little bit. But my biggest thing is I am so glad we are done with the stupid boogeyman mask face, because I have been irritated about that and the way have been doing the dreams in season 1 since they started. And people will say, oh yeah, this one had this and that foreshadowing and all of these other things. I still haven't enjoyed it at all. And but I loved this. I loved Ishamael and his reveal and his characterization, his costuming. That was a very interesting choice. But I really liked it. What did you think about his look, like his sort of modern formal-ish cool man look? Did you think that was weird or great or what?
I mean, it definitely made him look more on top of it, more in control. It made him more the clothes choice made him more scarier, kind of, because if they went with just shaggier garb, then he wouldn't seem as threatening as someone who can afford and is willing to wear more clean cut and clean stuff. Because like in the Blight, you're gonna get messy in the mud and all sorts of stuff, but he had a very clean cut clothes. So that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, I thought it was really cool. It was different than what I would have expected them to do. And it was definitely different than what I pictured in the book. In the books we get the kind of fireplace chat scenes and whatever else. And in the book we get a more creepy version of the Dark One, Ishamael, right? I say that. Okay, I'm actually not even speaking with my voice there. Somebody else commented that in one of our comment section. I never really got a creepy vibe from him. Another thing that another commenter actually talked about with him that I don't remember. I've only read the book series once, and I've reread Eye of the World. I've reread it once. I've read Eye of the World twice, and I've read the whole series once. And so my memory is not always perfect, especially with physical descriptions, which has nothing to do with what I'm talking about now. But that's a note. And that is somebody talked about him being creepy, and somebody also. I think it was a different comment. They talked about him seeming more mad but I don't remember ever getting that impression personally. And I always thought he was kind of more manipulative and more in control than, you get hints of madness maybe, but I don't remember that being a thing. Do you remember that being much of a thing in the books?
No, I don't really pay attention, or sometimes I have a hard time comprehending physical description too, but I didn't really get any madness.
She's my daughter.
Yeah. He seems like the one that was more on top of it, and like he was the one. Him and Lanfear seemed to be more superior to the other 11, I guess. They seemed more on top of things
intellectually.
Yeah.
Well, Sam I Am is kind of on top of it until somebody starts talking about his height or whatever else. It's kind of like. What is the character? You haven't seen it, but in the anime, what is it in Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood? When what's his face gets attacked about his height, He gets mad. Same with Sam I am. But anyway, so we got some comments kind of going back to the cold open. So we'll jump out of that story thread for a minute and we'll hit some of these comments. So Liam and D-Rock both say no need to apologize and Christmas and Merry Christmas essentially and that. Thank you. We appreciate it. Thanks for bearing with our or my lower sleep brain. And let's see. D-Rock also said, I know how the blight wasn't how they planned it. COVID stopped them from being able to travel to the island they were going to film on. Instead, they had to build a set in studio. Yeah, I know, and there was also a bunch of stuff that they did CG when they were going to do it, when they originally had been doing it practical effects. There's a lot of stuff in the look and feel of this episode that a lot of people have had a bigger issue than I have. I don't tend to be as much of a visuals guy as much as Jonathan, honestly. Jonathan's more of a visuals guy and special effects guy than I am. I tend to be more character and idea focused, and whatever else. And so it didn't bother me that much anyway. And the times when it did look wonky, a lot of people complained about the Trollocs in particular. We'll hit that story thread here in a minute. I actually thought that the Murdrawl was more wonky, him, leading the charge as far as from a CG standpoint personally than the other. But I kind of gave all of that a pass in my mind for now. And because of all the struggles that I know they had, and I think some of that they've already shown that they can do the Trollocs and all that stuff really well by combining practical effects and CG. And as long as we don't have a COVID 50.0 or whatever the heck happens, then I think we're fine in that department. I think they're gonna do a really good job. We're gonna talk about the cold closing. I know that's dumb, but the ending later, of course. But I thought there was some wonky CG stuff there. I think the Shanchan are going to look great once we get even more practical stuff, boots on the ground things. And so I'm not as stressed about the look. What did you have any thoughts about some of the look, especially in particular the blight is what D-Rock was talking about?
That's just not how I envisioned it. I had a total different picture. The same as Dad.
Yeah, which doesn't make any more sense than it did when I thought about it.
Yeah, because it's just what I was envisioning was not at all what book accurate. So, I think the trees, like the tops of them, they kind of look like, they look like bodies, kind of, maybe.
Yeah.
Like stars, so
I think it was easier to render in 3D. I did like the look of the close-up stuff, Moraine and Rand wandering through there. I liked the more zoomed in part of the blight better than I liked the look top-down view and all of that. But yeah, so that was interesting. So let's see. The Futurist voice says the companions went to steal the boar because a dark god was escaping and they were starting to lose more and more. The counterstroke was what caused the sighting taint. That is absolutely true. I don't know that we in the cold open, I don't know if we got enough to say that wasn't what was happening. The one thing that I didn't like in relation to that, and I don't know if this is exactly what anybody is talking about in the comment section, but the one thing I did have a problem with personally was Latra. Again, I'm going with that name. It doesn't sound right when it's coming out of my mouth, and I'm not 100% sure that it is, but I haven't seen any correction, so that's what we're going with. So Latra basically tells him that basically she says that the Dark One could corrupt Sidene. I don't think she uses that word. I don't think. But I think that's dumb because she shouldn't have known that. I don't understand why they chose to add that line in there. And maybe they'll do something with it, or it was just some weird connection with the audience and things that non-book readers already know and understand. Maybe, I don't know. That one seems like a stretch to me. I don't know why that was a part of it. And yeah, they were trying. He wanted to seal him in the boar. I think if I remember correctly, I haven't read hardcore. I've mostly read content from online and stuff, the companion stuff and the World of Wheel of Time stuff and whatever else. But if I remember right, correct me if I'm wrong, I think her plan was to use the Jodan Call, right? And I don't remember what she was wanting to do. or maybe or something. I don't remember exactly what her plan was, her counter plan. But yeah, it was definitely a desperate move for sure, and disagreement, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So MJ Daniels, you want to say anything about that? You don't even know about it. You haven't read wikis and
No, I haven't.
Whatever else, and you haven't read Reddit either. Thank goodness. I don't even read Reddit if I can help it. MJ Daniel says, have read the books 3 times. I'm watching with my mom who has never read them, and we are both having a lot of fun watching the show. I'm excited for season 2. We are too. I'm so excited for season 2 because I really think that this season lays such great groundwork. What are you the most excited about that we're going to do full in our New Year's Day stream? Jonathan and I are going to talk about season 2 even more depth and whatever else, but what thing that you think might happen in season 2 are you excited to see? You don't have to be right. It's okay. Jonathan and I say stuff that's wrong all the time.
I think I'm excited for Rand to figure out stuff. I mean, because
you're talking about like different uses of the power and
like
stuff?
different uses of the power, and just learning how to be okay with that he's going to be fine.
He may not figure that out for a long time. He doesn't in the book.
And I'm also excited to see like how the different friends react to learning that he can channel, and how his different friends like react to it. Like who will stay with him and who will run away and who will kind of stay in the middle.
Yeah. Cool. Let's see. So Aldan says, I actually like the dreams, to be honest, considering they have to distinguish between dreams and people entering Tel'aran'rhiod. I think it had to not be super outworldly, and that's fine. Yeah, and I can see that, and there have been I've had lots of people comment, and various reasons why they like the dreams and the way they're visualizing them. Right now, I haven't heard anything to change my mind. I still don't like the way they're visualizing them, and there it is. And that's fine. And we can maybe agree to disagree, or I mean, who knows? Somebody may present something that I'm like, oh my gosh, wow, that's really cool. That's happened before to me, or something I really didn't like. Somebody else gives me another piece of information, and then that reframes the whole thing. And so who knows? That may happen. I'm not a big fan of the way they've done it. It's fine. What have you thought about the dream sequences? You don't have to agree with me because I'm your father. You won't be grounded.
I mean, I think I liked the dreams. I mean,
well, you're wrong. No.
some of the things in the dreams I'm not too fond of, but I mean,
just like some of the gross out stuff, or like the bat coming out of Rand's mouth and all that. That
one actually wasn't too bad.
Oh,
but
okay.
I mean, I think it's the ones where they want you to tell that it's a dream, they're doing a good job in showing you that it's a dream, it's not a real thing. But in the last one in this season, or episode 8, you couldn't tell, and so they're doing a good job on seeing, because like it probably felt to Rand that it wasn't a dream, and so they're doing a good job distinguishing which ones are dreams and which ones are not. Because I mean, because in some of the dreams in the book, they can't really tell the difference between what it is, and they end up waking up. It's like, oh, that's a dream. Okay.
Oh yeah. We'll see. And as we get more and more dream stuff, and they introduce Tel'aran'rhiod, which I'm curious. I don't know that that's going to happen in season 2, honestly, as far as introducing it properly. We shall see, and as they get more dreamy stuff, and then when we get the wise ones, and we get all this other stuff, and whatever else happens with all that, it will be interesting to see how they change some visuals and stuff. So I'm definitely interested to see what they continue doing. I'm really enjoying not all the changes, but I'm enjoying that there are changes, and I feel like a lot of them are done well, but that's not even what we're talking about right now. So back to our comment section. Let's see. The futurist voice says, how are they going to handle the rest of the Forsaken? Are they going to keep removing the ones they don't like? I'm not really quite sure what you're thinking. That sounded terrible. I'm not quite sure what you mean. I don't know that there's any Forsaken that has been removed right now. I don't think Ishi's gone. I don't know if you've the collective you, or even I don't even know if Bree caught it, but his smirk as Rand was disappearing him and whatever else. He's not remotely gone and whatever else. But I still don't think we're going to get all 13 Forsaken, which I'm fine with. I don't really care about Agenor and Balthamel and whatever else. I mean, that sequence is interesting, right? Agenor kind of wanting the power for himself and kind of doing that almost Lucifer type thing and whatever. That was kind of interesting and whatever else, and showed the hubris of the Forsaken. So that it was fine in the book, but I other than that, I don't really care. How do you think that the Forsaken are gonna get handled in the future? Any thoughts there?
I honestly have no idea. I don't think they're gonna do all 13. Because I mean, I can't remember which episode it is, but when Steppen is doing his offering to the Forsaken or whatever to keep him away, there's only 8 statues. You pointed that out to me, but there's only 8 statues of the Forsaken when he's doing his smoke offering thing.
Yeah, warding away them. So
yeah, I don't. Because some of them, they don't really have big parts to play. Some of them are just kind of, they're there. They don't really do anything.
Right.
Some of them.
Yeah. So, I don't know what they're going to do with Forsaken. I mean, you got to, so, yeah. You probably are, the comment is talking about the specific 2 Forsaken in the book. Maybe, I don't know for sure if that's what you're talking about or not. And that they didn't exist in the show. And I mean, I already said I don't personally care about that much, but I understand why some people would. People that want things to be like the book, and I'm very, and I'm not even talking about that in like an ugly way or anything. Just all of those things. One thing as far as having all 13 Forsaken and having every character or a lot of the characters from the book is every time they have a new actor, they've got to pay them, and they've got to pay costuming people to costume them. So that's a factor as well. And as much as we don't like it, we do have to remember that there are real logistical considerations when we're talking about creating an adaptation. Love it or hate it, or like the style of adaptation or not. That's a real thing. So if there's more on that I'm missing on your question, then let us know for sure. We can come back and hit that. Let's see. Definitely gonna butcher your name. Midigal. I don't know. I always took books one's ending as immersive. It was confusing for the characters, and so we were drawn into that confusion. I'm glad the show kept some of the confusion / ambiguity. So in a way, that's almost a little bit of a hot take. A lot of people aren't huge fans of the ending of book 1, but I definitely actually agree with what I'm taking to be the heart of that comment. And the fact that it was confusing and the characters didn't really know what's going on, and neither did the readers. I do like that, like some of the confusion stuff and what exactly is happening, and the obscuring of some of the details and some of the unreliable narrator stuff and all of that stuff. I think that is a strong element right now, especially moving forward, because it creates interest and it creates thought and it creates discussion. And I think that's really good. What do you think about the ending of The Eye of the World in the books specifically?
I mean, it definitely opened up new doors for Rand, or not only finding out that he can channel, but seeing like Moraine, she was struck down seeing that, okay, she can act, she's not invincible. So figuring out that, okay, she might, I don't know, seeing how little power she has in comparison to the other Forsaken.
he did feel very powerful, and I like that a lot. Felt more like, in my opinion, the Forsaken should feel like, they've got all this back knowledge and all this stuff, all this forgotten knowledge and all these things of all this stuff. And so basically being able to shield slash still slash whatever happened. I think it's been confirmed. I want to say that I've read that it's been confirmed by Rafe and Brandon that she was in fact stilled. Let us know in the comments if you've heard the same thing, or if I'm saying that wrong, and whatever else, which I already said in our reaction that I think stilling her is a more or less brilliant move. I think that there's a lot of potential for using that, and her arc and all of those things. And we'll kind of get into that some more in a bit for sure. Let's say we got, I think, one more comment, and then we'll jump back into the episode. So Winter on the Web says, your reactions and perspective are always good. I don't know about always good, but thanks. We try. Question for you both. Do you think the Barney reshuffle of characters could have made the Faldara part feel a little more messy? Yeah, we're going to get into the Faldara part soon. Before I jump over and say my thoughts first, what do you think? You know that Barney Harris, of course, left the show suddenly, and so probably some of the stuff in the Faldara scene was probably supposed to be Matt, and now it's done by Perrin, and who the heck knows what all they had to change. Do you think that affected the messy feel of that, or not really, or
maybe, I don't know. I can't remember really what Matt. Well, they changed the whole thing, so okay. I don't know. I think it might have affected it. It might have not. I think it was pretty well done. That's a very diplomatic
answer.
I think it was pretty well done. I don't know. I mean, I was trying to compare it to the book, but they changed that whole last part. So
yeah, it's very changed.
So I think they did okay with it. I mean, I think that with Pot on Fane and like Perrin going off to find people or he saw him, so he went to go find him. And then when he came back, he was already there. So that probably, they did that for some reason, maybe to help him along in his...
Who, Perrin?
Yeah, Perrin. Help him along in his
growth and his
yellow-eyedness.
Oh, his yellow eye. Oh, yeah, to kind of push that plot forward. Yeah, maybe so. Yeah, we're gonna get more into the Faldar stuff in a minute, so I won't yammer away too long. But I absolutely think that had a huge effect and huge impact. We already know from watching Backstreet that they were in full on crisis mode when he left. Between him leaving and then COVID shutdowns and all of this stuff, there was so much that they had to redo and reshoot, change, plan, rewrite. So much so that I know because that Brandon usually gets sent the scripts, right, and then he sends back critiques. I know from hearing part of his watch party thing with Matt Hatch. I didn't watch all of that. In fact, I didn't watch very much of it at all yet. I'd like to go back and watch it some more, or the rest of it and all of that. But that didn't even get to happen because of how crisis mode they were in and all of that. So. Yeah, I'm sure that was some of the messiness, and they didn't have as much time to prep and do writing and all of that stuff and figure out and be brilliant and all of those things. So I think that definitely was a huge factor in some of the messiness in the Faldara stuff. So yeah, I think probably because we've kind of caught up. So I think we've caught up that scene to everything before the climax. Let me kind of look real quickly. Yeah, so let's jump back to Faldara because the only other thing before the climax is when Moraine and Rand they're going down into the eye of the world staircase thingy. Of course, the moment that was quite comical and really fun was Rand being like, "Are you about to die?" and her not saying anything because she's Moraine, and him saying, "We'll stay here." and her just smirking and walking down the stairs. So, you have any thoughts on that? Anything?
No, I mean that's typical Two Rivers. I think it's like, oh, she's a woman. I don't want her to die because of me, so stay here.
Absolutely.
If he could, he probably would have tied her up in a sack and left her there. If he could have.
That may be true. I don't know if he's brave enough to do that.
I mean, if he was brave enough, and if he was not terrified to death of getting beheaded by her, then he probably would have done that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're probably right. So that kind of gets that little plot thread kind of caught up to the finale. So let's jump back and kind of hit some of the Faldara stuff. So some of the things that happens. One of my favorite scenes in this episode. I've actually seen a surprising number of people not like this scene. Including Daniel Green. This is one of the areas that I strongly disagree with his take on this scene. Again, still a great video, still think he's great. But the Lan and Nynaeve scene, and their moment. So there's kind of a two-pronged thing, I think, and if there's anything else, you can certainly put it in the comments. But two prongs there to that scene. One was the romantic bit, and all, and Lan's awesome line delivered in a wonderful way, and all of that stuff. And then the other prong is the one that's probably a little more questionable in my mind, and that is Nynaeve being helping him and being like, oh yeah, Moraine's got to tell. I mean, what the heck does that mean? Are they playing poker? And I mean, is she just got a weird slipper, or I don't know what that means. And I felt like that was just a little bit like, wait, what? And it was just kind of a way to do what they needed to do. I felt like that was kind of personally kind of thought that was sloppy, and whatever else, but it was fine. Because it got Nynaeve. In my opinion, it was fine because it got Nynaeve in the room with Lan. So did you have any thoughts on her being, the tracking of Moraine, and any other ideas about that? Or,
I mean, not really. I mean, maybe I was thinking maybe because they both Nynaeve could channel. Mm-hmm. But that wouldn't really work with Lan. But maybe since they're bonded or something, it works the same way. I don't know. What do you mean?
With Lan? What do you mean?
Since he's bonded to her, and he has, I don't know, like this to sense the tell or whatever.
Oh.
Or whatever.
Oh yeah, it wouldn't. He wouldn't be able to use it if it had to do with channeling.
Yeah, so I was thinking maybe it had to do something with his bond or something.
I don't know. Yeah, well, it couldn't have had to do with the bond because she was.
It has something to do with the power, but then he could sense it or whatever because of his bond. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense.
I feel like you're stretching.
It doesn't make any sense, but.
Oh yeah, I don't know. That was wonky. That may have been a reshooty thing. I don't know. Who the heck knows? But again, I personally don't. Even though I think it's a little silly and doesn't make any sense, I personally love it because it got her in the same room with Lan, and we got to get the iconic, amazing line. I will hate the man you choose because he's not me, and I'll love him because he makes you smile, and however the line goes exactly. And I don't know if y'all have seen since I brought it up. I don't know if you've watched Daniel Green's reaction to it. He wasn't a real fan of that in this. He didn't feel like it was earned. And so what I totally disagree. And I think that because of the way that they've increased visible amounts of Lan and Nynaeve's relationship, and they're flirting essentially, and they're competing with each other through tracking each other and all of that stuff. And this, I feel like that they've done I think it's totally believable. And I don't think it has anything to do with the fact that they spent the night together. And, I think that's that doesn't even have anything to do with it. Not even remotely. It's because you can fall in love with somebody and decide that it doesn't have to take living together for 40 years or whatever else. So I thought that was totally reasonable, and I loved it so much. I honestly didn't think we were going to get that line. I'd given up on it. I said in one of our previews or some other video that I was hoping to see that line and hear that line. But I had honestly internally kind of given up on it. It's like, they're just going to cut it. It's not going to happen. But then we got it, and I got chills. In fact, the second time when I rewatched it with Bree and my wife, Rochelle, honest to goodness, teared up a little bit in that line because it's just beautiful. And the one thing I will say about, even though the mechanics and the logistics of it are wonky, Nynaeve supporting Lan and helping him and them coming together and that relationship and that joining together, I do love that. And we see that, well, we don't really see that again later, but there's something that happens later in the episode that I think enunciates that even more and continues to do it. And so I really did like that. I know that was a problem that some people had, that why would he need Nynaeve and whatever else. And the working together and them doing, and again, and also Nynaeve choosing to let Lan go without her. And him going and do his thing and be responsible for his stuff and take care of his part, have his part to play, and her have hers, and her protecting the people she could protect and letting him go. That was so on character and was so much like some of the stuff we get later in the book series. And, it's not, because she's not really supporting him this level, but it made me think of, later when she's going and rounding up people and them supporting each other. And I thought that was beautiful. And I loved it so much. So what did you think about that line, the way it was delivered and what, and you, since you haven't been on, what have you thought about the Lan and Nynaeve's relationship and Lan's character kind of being not quite the same as the book and him being more smiley than the book? What have you liked that or not liked it? Or you can say you don't like something. It's allowed. It's very allowed. Or you can like it, whatever.
I mean, in book 2 or 3, I can't remember which one it is, but yeah, whatever. And so there's this one stage that he goes through where he's a little more open, or he smiles and laughs a little bit more. Not a lot, but because Moraine was gonna pass his bond to someone, and so then he was went through a stage like that through a little bit. But I think I like the way they did him in the show, because it showed that he was an actual person. I mean, because he doesn't seem like a genuine human. In some parts he does, but a lot of the times he's just stone. He doesn't really have any emotions, and there's not really any parts of the book from his perspective very much either, so you don't really get to see what he's thinking in certain parts. So I like the way they did him.
Yeah. So quickly before we move on in this story thread, MJ Daniel says Attell called her footprints. I guess, but I don't know why that's different from any of the other footprints and whatever else. And then Midigal says, in response to that she's super short, talking about Moraine, obviously wearing 6-inch stilettos in the woods. So yeah, maybe. But who knows?
She didn't walk too much because she was hurt, though. She was on the horse.
True. That's true. That is true. She wasn't. Lan was carrying her a lot of the. Well, yeah, she was on the horse, and then Lan was carrying her, and then et cetera, et cetera. So I don't know. I think, unless somebody has something absolutely brilliant, I think that's just going to be one that we're all going to be like, okay, that's a thing apparently. But yeah, I don't really know. So let's see what happens next in Faldara. I noticed that I make that noise a lot on lives on the last one I watched. So if it's annoying you, I'm sorry. If it's annoying you, you're welcome to say so, and I'll make a concerted effort to stop. So I did notice one thing I did want to point out that I noticed, actually not on a rewatch, but I actually was watching a non-book reader video. It was not one that I typically watch. And on their video, they had the clip that they were reacting to with Nynaeve and Egwene standing kind of on the ledge, whatever, balcony space, and Nynaeve is attempting to listen to the wind. Excuse me. And Egwene comes up, and Nynaeve tells her, can you hear anything? Because I haven't been able to hear anything since I channeled. And so that when I heard that, I thought, oh, that's really good. That is to me probably block confirmed that they're not removing that. Because at this point, there's that's a little bit in question, and it still is, of course. But because we don't know what they're going to do season 2 and beyond. But it does, that line to me says that they're keeping her block, and that we're gonna get to explore that more in season 2 and beyond, which is great. If they were to remove that, that would be a huge deal for her character. Now there's a later scene where we'll get there. There's another question about that later. So let's see. Anything? Yeah. So what?
Is the part with her, Egwene and Perrin after that or before that?
Egwene and Perrin. That happens before. Oh yeah. So what did you think about the scene with Egwene and Perrin and all of that, and them worried about, and Egwene, of course, at this point she's gonna go and try to save Rand on her own. And then Perrin came in, and you can't. It's not gonna work, and them kind of reconciling and whatever else. What do you think about that?
I really liked that part. I mean, I just think it's cool that you can have two people, male and female, not have just a relationship. They can just be friends, and that's what you get with Perrin and Egwene, because they are just friends, and they can still be supportive, and they don't have to worry about anything else. Because, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I 100% agree. That's the thoughts I was having with that scene as well. I thought it was a really sweet, touching friend. Kind of a coming back to all that silliness is over. Egwene and Rand already kind of made up, and they already kind of came to the we're good now, and so it was nice to see that resolution there. So I was glad that they kept that in the show for sure, because it was nice to get that resolution to that piece. So then let's see what else happens in that sequence. So Egwene and Brother Book, aka Loyal, and Perrin and Nynaeve, they all come and accost Min and holler her and say, Tell us what you know, woman, and all of that. What did you think about that scene? And what are you thinking about Min in general, her characterization and her visions, and all, because you haven't been able to share that before, so all of that together.
Her visions, I mean, now that I think about it, they're pretty book accurate, I think, but it's not how I thought she would look. Because I mean, with her hair, how she has her hair, it's like she has a clip or something and it makes it stand up. I don't know where that came from, but that looks weird. But I think now that I think about it, the visions are a lot more book accurate than like I first thought. Yeah, so I mean, I like her. She's not my favorite character in general in the book.
Jonathan's gonna be mad at you.
Well, I mean, she's okay, but she's kind of, I don't know.
Gotcha. So, yeah, I thought that scene was fine. I don't even remember exactly what happened. I was kind of scrubbing through remembering that scene existed, but I think she kind of is like, peace out, homies. He's doing his thing. Yeah, good luck.
They came and asked Min if Rand's going to be okay, and then she was like, it doesn't work like that. And they're like, you could at least tell us something. And she's like, sorry, it doesn't work like that. Leave if you're not going to buy a drink or something.
Yeah, something like that, which is very on brand for men, I think. So then Agomar and his sister, and they're preparing for battle, and then they say, okay, the men are going to go up and fight at the wall and be the first line of defense there, and then the women are going to stay back in Faldara, and they're going to protect the city, and then Lady Amalisa says, okay, round up everybody that can channel, and all the people that were freaking out already because they thought that this is what was going to happen. We're thinking, OMG! Full meltdown mode, as one of our commenters said earlier today, and whatever, and all of that. I was kind of chuckling to myself, actually, as I was watching this, like, oh man, those people are going to hate this so much because they were right. And all of that. So what did you think about the Agomar and his armor and his conversation with his sister and all of that? And also, what did you think about Uno and his bloody gut feathers or whatever the heck he said? I don't even remember what he said. What did you think about all of that together?
With the Agomar and his sister, I thought that was a good relationship. Just her trying to save him, basically, and him being like, I have to do stuff, and then her supporting him after a while, like after an argument or something. I can't remember what exactly happens, but they have like an argument or something, and then she's finally like, okay, I can't sway him, so I'm gonna support him in this, and then she kind of gives him her promise that she's gonna do all she can, and so
she does.
And that also, she might not believe that she can, but it helps Agomar. It probably gives some confidence that she's gonna try everything she can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know what the whole deal with the armor was. I thought that was a odd moment. I don't know why they kept all that line stuff in there. It felt like we were being given something is significant without any real context of why or what and without any payoff, because he, as far as I can tell, is dead at the end of this, and so clearly his armor didn't help, and I didn't really understand why that was there. I don't know, connection to some family history and kind of color and flavor, I guess. I don't know. I love Uno right now. I really hope he's not dead. I don't think he is. I love him. Let's see. I did really like the choice, and I like the choice and the way they did it, and had the men go and do that, and the women, but the women also fighting. The women fighting is a very Borderlander thing to do, and whatever else, if I remember right. Even though they have weird respect level for women who are not Aes Sedai, if I'm remembering right, but yeah, them being a part of the fight, and them deciding that we are the last stand, and this is, we're gonna try to keep this as long as we can and send out the messengers. And I thought that was a really good, and it was really nice foreshadowing and setup for the future. It was really nice. I thought that was cool. So I think we're kind of at the climax at this point. Men, of course, are you in an OFT, right? She leaves, which is, I think that was just a nice nod of she's going to be fine, was why we got that shot. So heading into the climax, let's actually stay in this plot thread. Let's stay in the weaker of the two plot threads, and then we'll come back and finish with a bang with a really, in my opinion, strong plot thread. And so let's stay in Faldara. So what did you think about the women kind of standing out in the middle of the desert and getting ready to channel, and them kind of just hanging out there and whatever, and being them prepared without any protection, and the whole them linking and all of, what did you think about all of that?
I mean, they've got to be really brave to go stand out there, but I also think there's only like 5 of them. I think there are 3 from Faldara, including the other 2. And it's like, I feel like there would have been more in a city that size, or at least some people that it can channel, because there's only like 2 regular people, and then Amalisa, there's only 3. So I feel like there might have been more.
Well, I wonder if the ones that could really channel, they would have been sent to the White Tower maybe already. I don't know.
I mean, but there's a lot that can't become Aes Sedai, so they'd be sent home. And it seems like, I don't know, I just feel like there should be more. There should have been more people. It
could be true. So what did you think about them instead? So one of the biggest changes, in my opinion, and it seems like many people's opinion, in this episode from the books, is instead of the save everyone be Rand and what's the word? Skimming. Rand skimming over there and calling down lightning and being like, I'm here, dudes, kill everybody, and all of that. Instead of that happening, they did this linking thing, and Lady Amalisa taking the power. One thing that is Jonathan has brought up as an issue, and I totally agree. And the more I think about it, the more I agree that Nynaeve, assuming she still has a block, she probably, unless, I mean, I can't imagine that Amelisa was powerful enough to wrest that control from Nynaeve, and so, excuse me, sorry. Her and Nynaeve probably shouldn't have even been able to give that link over and whatever else. So that is potentially an issue. I don't know how you think about that, but or y'all think about it. But basically the question I want to start with is doing it that way with the linking and the burning out and the fake out death and all that stuff, as opposed to Rand coming and having a Super Saiyan moment. What do you think about it?
I mean, with the linking, it gave you more opportunity to just show what can be done with the power and what can't be done. It for like non-book readers, it gave a better picture of what can be done and what, I mean, because you haven't really had much power in detail, really. No main characters really dealing with it much. Well, Moraine, but she's secretive about it.
Right.
And so you have linking, but you in episode 4, I think, but it doesn't really show what happens in link. Well, it does, but it shows better.
We also got, is this the first time we've seen somebody burn out from using too much? They were able to show that in a very clear way. I'm not a big fan of the fake out death with Nynaeve personally, but I'm glad she's not dead. I would have been pissed off if they would have killed off Nynaeve. I would have been hacked. Honestly, I would have even been hacked if they would have like stilled her or something. Because that would have been frustrating. So I'm glad that she's alive. We'll talk about how she came back to life or get healed in a minute, because I have some issues with that. But
was she dead though? Really?
Well, we don't know. She wasn't. She was clearly not as burnt up as Lady Amelisa, right? But she was. I mean, she was messed up at the very least.
And she was more powerful than Lady Amelisa. So that might be the reason for that. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. So what was I saying? Where was I?
Egwene dying. No, Nynaeve dying.
Oh yeah. And the showing the being burned out. I think as much as I think that scene, that whole sequence and that whole stuff was wonky, and some of it was not as well executed as could be with Nynaeve in particular, and then we'll get to it in a minute, but Egwene healing her through the power of sadness, I guess, and whatever else. And so there was some definite wonky stuff in there, but I do like some of the world building things that we got. Like Bree pointed out, we do see linking again and in a different way, and some of that we also see being burned out, which was, again, this whole season has been so much about world building, which it almost had to be, and so I do like that they were able to kind of seamlessly, even with some wonkiness thrown in there, throw in some of these world building elements. So yeah, before we go on to some of the other stuff, let's jump back into the comments. So, you want to read some, or you want me to keep reading them?
You keep reading them.
Keep reading them. She's going to let me butcher y'all's names instead. So, Winter on the Web says, how stony Lan is in the books depends on whose POV it is. They're mostly nervous or in awe of him. That's good. Just like Rand keeps thinking Lan hasn't noticed stuff. I like that they've kept him human. Yeah, that is a big difference, right? Because, early on, especially in the books, we get Rand's point of view, we get Perrin's point of view a little bit, and that's mostly it. We get one of the females, because what's-her-face reads some of it, but that's not... I'm talking about details that don't even matter at the moment. But yeah, I think the POV shifts make a difference on how we're seeing Lan. I do think that show Lan is still more warm than book Lan overall, even with the POV shifts, but probably not as much as we might think. And I think all three of us, Bree, myself, and Jonathan, all like what they're doing with Lan so far, and it's been really good. You did just say that, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
I did.
Yeah. So sorry, I keep saying I don't know. Maybe we can remix it eventually and make some sort of cool song out of it. Or just make me look like a fool. I don't need much help with that, do I? So Sandan Glockta's oh yeah, this is another teethy person. Sandan Glockta's teeth says Lan is one of the best non-POV characters in the book, and show version is better. I really like Human Lan. Human Lan is greater than Landborg. I don't know if I fully agree with that. I'm not gonna spend much time talking. I do like Lan in the books. I'm enjoying the visualization of show Lan more than I would enjoy the visualization of Landborg, to use your description. For sure, I think that's probably a safe assumption. I do like a stoic in literature and having that point of view and that life choice, that almost religion. I do think that's interesting in the books, but I can definitely see that. What do you like, book Lan or show Lan better?
I like them both. I mean, they have different. Each one has different pros and cons. It's like, I mean, for the books, he starts out real Landborg, and then he kind of, over the progression of the book, over time, he
Can you tell her she's my daughter?
and then he becomes more human, kind of like he expresses his feelings more.
Yeah, we do. That's true. We do see more, and we do see in New Spring we kind of see more emotion too as well. So, we definitely see some of that. Winter on the Web says Min is good. Aged up a little, but still good looking in an androgynous kind of way. Haircut is a bit off-putting. Agrees with Bree as minor. She's on point. Now, I did notice when she's leaving, she's got kind of more of that bob haircut look. Jonathan and I've talked about that offset. There have been different people talking about her appearance. Not Jonathan and I or Bree, but different commenters and whatever else. I think she's quite a lovely person, and all of that. I'm not particularly worried about that. But yeah, I think she definitely is. She is. I think she probably is aged up a little bit, but I don't know that she's, in my opinion, I don't know that she's as aged up as some people seem to be thinking. I think, but yeah, I don't know. She's cool. Winter on the Web, also talking to Bree, says, remember that the number of channelers being found has been going down for decades. It's very rare until later on ones start sending out people traveling. Magic is uncommon enough. That's true. At this point, there aren't a ton of channelers out there. We don't really realize the amount of women out there that are channelers until we get to the part with the kin and all that kind of stuff. So that may be one of the reasons why there weren't more people in the city for sure. Midigal says butchering names is so in line with the whole experience. Keep it up. Yeah, that's right. I don't know if that's a confirmation that I'm butchering yours or not, but yeah. Well, I'm glad that you feel like that's a positive part of the experience of Alive. Let's see. Liam G says before a statement just shows you consider before. Yeah, exactly. I'm thinking, not just spouting all the words. Thanks, Liam, for the encouragement. So let's dive back into the episode. Okay, maybe
sound like Treebeard.
Sound like hobbits. Something, I don't know. Now I'm not even. That was not even on purpose. We're having inadvertent comedy. Let's see. So let's go ahead and finish out that plot thread. So let's talk about the closing of Amalisa. Her getting to the point where she's done channeling and then still continuing to draw more power after she's kind of nuked the Trollocs. I think as I was flipping screens, I saw somebody say, I don't know if it was reference to this because I only saw it kind of in passing, but somebody said something about bringing a nuke to a knife fight. And I don't know whether it was this or not, but I was a little, and if that was this, then it was not only a nuke, but it was an unstable, disastrous nuke, which was quite terrifying. I think knife fight might be a little bit downplaying of the Trollocs or whatever else, but so yeah, they mopped the floor with the Trollocs, and all of that. So before jumping into the she draws too much, the one thing I do want to talk about that kind of, it's a good place to put this in, is something that I knew some people were going to be upset with, because I saw some people upset that it was going to happen before the episode came out, and then it did happen, and I chuckled to myself when it did happen, and that was Rand not showing up, right? And I knew that people were going to be upset about Lady Amelisa teaching them to link and doing all of that and handling it that way. So here's my thoughts about that, and I'll let Bree say what she thinks about it as well in a minute. But I loved it, that part of it. I think that was super awesome, and I think it's really, really cool, because in it we get to see different people playing a different part, and that balance, and the men and the women doing different things and being important. And one thing with as far as Rand's, and we're going to get into Rand's climax in a minute, but Rand, I think a lot of people were, because they're book readers and they think it's, when Rand does cool channeling things, it's cool. Which, obvious statements are obvious, right? And it is cool, like the way some of his stuff happens in the book. But I think that is a disservice to what happens in the show, and even what happens in the books to a certain extent, although I think it's much clearer what's going on in the show than it is in the book. And him facing down and Ishamael and that triumphant moment, and the sheer kick buttery of that, and so much, and this is true from beginning until very end, that Rand's arc and his battle is not. I know he does some cool physical channeling stuff, but his real battle and his real fight is not that. It's much more the mental battle, and much more the dealing with all of that, and fighting in that way. And him, I thought it was super awesome, and I thought it was super cool, and I may have even cheered a little bit when I was sitting there in my living room all by myself when he did pull it out and he faced down Alan Ishamael. And yeah, sure, it wasn't as flashy as calling down lightning and killing Trollocs, and that's fine, but real power and this is, I'm kind of talking about more than one thing here, because I'm talking about in real life a little bit too. Real power and real responsibility and real kick butteriness doesn't always have to be flashy and showy. You can, and this to kind of sidestep into a different vein, you can be an awesome human and give tons of money to people and whatever else, and do all of these really awesome things, and nobody ever see it. And that is just as awesome, if not more awesome, than the people that are having telethons and doing all these other things. And both are good. Don't misunderstand what I'm saying with that. But I really think saying that they cut off what Rand's cool stuff or whatever, I think that's a real disservice to what he really did and the difficulty with which it was, and all of that. And so that one, you're allowed to think what you want to think and feel what you want to feel, absolutely, and let us know that in the comments for sure. But that one is a little bit upsetting to me when people say things like that on this part, because I think it misses the point of life and power and goodness and living in the light. And I could go on for a while. Obviously, this is kind of I didn't realize I was all worked up so much about this, but I thought it was awesome, and I think it was totally fine to keep those two battles separate, and I thought that was really cool personally. So now that I've soapboxed for a minute, what do you think about that change, Bree? I kind of already asked you this kind of, but do you think I'm crazy? Or I know you think I'm crazy, but about this, do you think I'm crazy?
No, I don't. I really like it. I like how they did that, and it opens up more opportunities later in the show to, because right now, because in the book, the Shinarans see him, and some of them recognize him, not very many, but a few of them do. And this gives them more opportunity to have a different reveal to the whole world. It gives them just more
impact then.
Yeah.
A side step into something else that Jonathan and I clearly got rained for on when our coverage of The Mandalorian is the power of Mando revealing his self to Grogu was hugely diminished by him having already done it in episode 7. That was a stupid choice, and I stand by that opinion, and I still have it. And this, there again. God, why am I so worked up? Probably lack of sleep. But I'm not. Maybe it's Bree. Maybe Bree does it because I don't know that I get this worked up on camera with Jonathan here. Maybe he keeps me calm. Maybe I'm afraid of him. I don't know. Probably not. But yeah, that's a really, I don't even think about that too. It will increase the my words are escaping me because I'm so worked up and crazy and trying to remember what the heck we're about to do and all of these other things. But yeah, it does allow that to be a cooler reveal later. Let's continue on. So the last thing with the fields of Faldara that are not fields was the burning out and all of that kind of stuff. And there's two thoughts I have on that and two problems I have with it. And I don't know whether these were problems that were caused by rushed writing and all of that, or not. I don't know why the problems are, but these are problems that I'm having with it right now. And one is Nynaeve should not have, and this is not just because Nynaeve's block anymore. From my understanding of the way a link works, right, the way a circle works, linking works, is Nynaeve should not have been able to arrest any control over that circle and be able to take some of that power in herself to save Egwene. So my understanding of the mechanics, that shouldn't have been possible. Maybe I'm confused. You can let us know in the comments, or Bree can tell me that I'm wrong here and whatever, and I'm remembering something wrong, and that's great. But I don't think that should have been able to happen mechanically. I think it's probably okay, and that one's a small thing that's not like totally magic system breaking or anything else. But the other thing, and this one I already alluded to, and this one is the one that I'm getting more and more like, oh my gosh, this is stupid, and this is Hollywood nonsense, and that is Egwene somehow being able to heal Nynaeve, no matter how hurt she was, essentially through the power of sadness. Nynaeve, it almost makes sense. Her explosion wilder channeling, that fits her arc and her character of protection and healing. And so that makes more sense with her character. But Egwene was never a healer. All I said, I can heal to one level or another, right? But that was not a part of her character. And so I'm glad they did it, because I'm glad Nynaeve ain't dead or seriously injured or whatever else. So I'm glad that it worked out the way it did, but that was bordering on ridiculous, in my opinion. That's the way I'm thinking about it right now. What do you think about it, Bree?
I don't remember any mention that you can take power, but as I was thinking about it just now, burning out, it doesn't, in the book, it's not you die, it's you can't channel anymore. It's like stilling yourself is how he describes burning out, now that I'm thinking about it. But you can, I guess, kill yourself by burning out, but that's not how he really describes it in the book. He describes it more as stilling yourself is how he describes it, or Robert Jordan does.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think there's definitely some changes there. Some people, a couple of comments that are kind of relevant and not kind of relevant are well, one of them's relevant and one of them's nice. So brother Tarwin's Gaptooth, still love your name, says, love the Dad and Bree Christmas show. Jonathan gonna be nervous about losing his chair. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, are you nervous, Jonathan? Because Bree is killing it right now. No, I think we're still good. But Winter of the Web says the controller of the link can't make you burn out, which I think that sounds right to me. And so that is a clear, and assuming that you are correct, which I think you are, and I think Bree was kind of alluding to similar ideas. That is a change. I don't know that that's a. that's it. I mean, as with a lot of changes, I'll have to sit with that one a little bit to decide on my real feelings. You can watch for our Take Two reaction middle of next week, and I may have some more updated thoughts. But I don't think right now, my gut is saying I don't know that I have a problem with that as a change. I can't think of anything off the top of my head that breaks as far as plot and story wise. And definitely add some dramatic tension. In fact, it could potentially add some neat stuff. Again, we're talking full book spoilers here, but the end of Winter's Heart, when the taint is cleared, show verbiage, the corruption is cleansed, and all of that. It could add some interesting stakes and tension there. That's already an awesome scene with lots of stakes and lots of tension, but it could add to that seamlessly with some. I could see it being a positive change potentially. We'll see what they do with it. Yeah, you have any other thoughts on that before we move back to Rand and kind of round home plate?
Not really.
Okay, so oh, that's the wrong window. Where am I? This is where I want to be. All right. So going back to Rand, I've already talked about this, and so let's see. How do I want to do this? I'm wanting to talk about something that's kind of spoilery. That's very spoilery, like book 14 spoilery. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to Jonathan can make his own decision on what he's going to do on this and whatever else. But I'm going to go ahead and start with my book 14 spoilery thing on this Rand thing, and then I'll wave like this whenever I'm done, so that Jonathan can know. So if he doesn't want to hear, and I don't think he does want to hear what I have to say, then he can take his earphones off and know what's happening, or if anybody else is in his same predicament or whatever else. So I'm going to start with that. So book 14 spoiler section. Here we go, starting now. The way they did this change, and Ishamael, not the dark one, but Ishamael showing Rand his possible future and tempting him that way and getting him to wanting him to join him that way and all that stuff. It reminded me a ton of the flicker scene, where he's seeing these flashes, and of course it wasn't the flashes and stuff, but it was him basically tempting him that way. In Eye of the World, we get this temptation of basically there's this black cord tempting him or something. I don't know. That's basically what is tempting him, which is very unclear and confusing, and most people, if they're really honest with themselves, still don't completely 100% comprehend. There's some level of comprehension having finished the books and whatever else that you understand it better. But I think if we're all honest with ourselves, I think none of us completely 100% understand what's going on there. But I don't know, maybe Bree is way more brilliant than I am. But
I don't know what you're talking about.
In the Eye of the World, when he faces down who he thinks is the Dark One, and he's kind of, I always pictured it kind of as a dark room, but I don't really, maybe that, again, physical descriptions fly past me, and he's attached to what Jonathan and I have been jokingly calling the light umbilical. Oh, the light thread is attached to him, and then there's this dark thread that's attached to something and whatever else, and basically trying to pull him away or whatever. And anyway, I don't even know, trying to take him over or something. See, she's not more brilliant than me.
I just need a second to think about what you're asking.
Well, if you can't even remember what it is, then it is.
You said flicker.
I know.
So I thought you were talking about the trout. First, I was talking about 14, and then I thought you were talking about when he first used the portal stone, and then he did all that stuff.
Oh my gosh! So yeah, the two different scenes. The one, and what I'm wanting. So let me see if I can make it more clear for those of you who are also probably just as confused as Bree was. The two endings, of the ending of Eye of the World and the ending of the entire series, in my mind, kind of sort of mirror each other. Because in the Eye of the World, we have him basically the Dark One, Ishamael, trying to corrupt Rand and all of that, and do that way. And then at the end, the same thing is happening, but in a much more clear way. We got something kind of like that much more clear way now. And I thought it was really cool and all of that. And so, yeah, that's really all I really want to say about book 14. So I can kind of end the book 14 spoiler, and we can kind of talk about the ending without necessarily referencing that. But yeah, so back to no book 14 spoilers. Yeah, so the ending with Egwene and Ishi tempting Rand. What did you think about that whole sequence and all of that?
I mean, I think he made it. I don't know. Okay, well, maybe it was, they were kind of using it like the Dream Terangirl, or not Dream, the being, being raised to accepted, to where it's like, it takes like different things from your mind and puts it into the vision. Maybe Ishamael did something like that to have Egwene know what they carved on the tree or whatever, because that's what made him believe that the whole thing was real. Because that's...
I'm sorry, I was typing. What the heck did you say?
Okay, so in the Terangrial that raise novices to accepted, they take like bits and it's like uses memories from your own head,
right?
And uses to like on the tree or whatever. Mm-hmm. That he might have done something like that, because that's really what made him believe that, okay, this isn't evil because we were the only ones there,
right?
And he probably thought it might have been evil or whatever. At first he did, and then he was like, okay, we're fine now, and then we're not fine,
right? Yeah. So I don't know that I have a ton more that I haven't already said, because I've already essentially gushed about it earlier. I loved the climax with Ishamael and Rand, and I thought it was super cool. I loved the smirk as he was being dematerialized or whatever the heck was happening. And I liked, I was really nervous at the climax, which I love as a book reader, that I can have these moments of nervousness and like, oh crap, what are they doing? What is going on? And I love that we can still get those moments. That's one of the great things about this show, and the way and the style of adaptation that they're going with. I'm loving that aspect. And so what I was really nervous was I was afraid that they were going to take it and have basically Moraine have to save Rand and her have to play a bigger part, especially since she's been so much of kind of a main character and a main focal character of this season. I was really afraid they were going to go that route and have to save him. And I would have not liked that at all. And everything I was saying about the gushing and the things separate, it would not be true if that was the route they went. And so I was super thrilled when that didn't happen, and all of that. The one thing we haven't talked about in detail, and I haven't seen any comments come through, I don't know if Jonathan has or not, on whether or not Moraine was stilled or not, or whether she was shielded. I did go back and I may even try to pull it up and pull it onto the screen, if I can. Or let me get through my thought, and then I'll see about doing that, and I'll let Bree kind of take over the talking bits for a second. But on a rewatch, the way the animation of the power, which one of the reasons why I'm wondering, and again, if it's been confirmed already that she was in fact stilled by Brandon or Rafe or both, let me know in the comments, because I kind of think it was. But going for a brief moment, going off the assumption that is not true, the way they did the animation, we do see this kind of net of channeling, kind of like the Logain scene, and we don't see the ripping out of power like we saw with the other Logain scene of him being gentled, right? And so, again, operating on the at least very brief assumption that it's not been confirmed that she was stilled. It is possible that she's been shielded with a tied off weave and whatever else. I saw somebody commenting that would just be terribly stupid, throwing in a thing that they haven't introduced and book readers would be confused and whatever else. Why would that be terrible? In my opinion, I don't know. Bree may think it, but that's something that they could add as a. I mean, okay. I say why, but the only negative I can possibly see right now, and you can, there may be something that I'm not thinking about that you can let us know in the comments, but is it's almost like a fake out death, not death, but stilling, and so that might be, we might kind of get into the boy who cried wolf sort of a thing. I do have a book 14 thing to say about that. So this one's gonna be even more brief. So I'm gonna wave Jonathan out right here, and then I'm about to wave him right back in because this is gonna be really brief. But as far as the fake out death thing, I think too many fake out deaths are a problem. Now I will say that there are way the heck too many fake out deaths in book 14 of the Wheel of Time. It's a true fact. There are lots of fake out deaths at the end, and so if they do make that mistake, it's a Jordan-esque mistake to make, or I guess at that point it's a Sanderson-esque mistake to make. But yeah, coming back in. So I don't think that I don't know. I don't know what to think about it. What do you think about whether do you think she was stilled? She wasn't stilled. Whether it was dumb or not dumb for her being stilled, or them doing a tied off shield, or what do you think about all of those different aspects?
I mean, I don't think she is stilled because of something that Shamael said. He said he said something like, "Isn't it awful to have the power just at the tips of your fingertips, but you can't touch it, or right over your shoulder, but you can't see it?" Because that makes it seem that, because if you're still, it's like not there anymore. But I'm thinking that she might just, I don't know, that she might just be shielded or something because of that thing that he said. But, and also, after he shielded her, he did something else. It might be different for shielding and it's the same thing, but shielding and gentling's the same thing, but it might be different for like a man and a woman. It might be a different process, maybe.
That could be true.
I don't know. I personally don't think she's stilled. Personally,
or if she was, what would you think about that? You may need some more time to process it, but
I mean, I don't know. I think it definitely, if they stick to Nynaeve's thing, they would, she would get her channeling back eventually.
Right. True. Yeah. Yeah.
Because, I mean,
unless she gets tossed through a portal first. Full book spoilers.
I mean, I don't think that's going to happen until because she's not really going to do anything with Lanfear unless she can channel, I don't think.
Oh, that's a good point. True. Yeah. Well, I mean, she could still have the flying tackle, essentially. I mean, that's what happens. But
yeah, I don't think she's going to be as much as an influence or as much as a safeguard or whatever if she's not channeled. So she'll kind of just be like an advisor, maybe.
Could be. Yeah.
Or Rand's gone though, so who knows?
Yeah, he's left. He's gone. They're all sort of split up. I think we're set up. We'll get into this more on New Year's morning, 11 a.m. Central. Jonathan and I are doing a live season 1 recap and season 2 predictions. We'll get more about predictions, but I think we're set up in several good places for season 2 with everybody being split off. I know some people have been like, "What the heck is happening?" Well, I think we're all a little bit like, "What the heck is happening?" But some of us are feeling like, "What the heck is happening?" And some of us are thinking, "What the heck is happening?" And everywhere in between. So yeah, I don't even know. But yeah, so let's dive into some comments. So Jorge Oyola maybe says, "Hey, for sure I missed the answer, but Moraine stilled or shielded. Hello from Uruguay. Yes, several people have asked what he thought, and others said Rafe said stilled, but was giving vague Aes Sedai answers. That sounds like something. I think he's been toying with some things and kind of playing Aes Sedai answers and playing unreliable narrator answers with several things.
Deus Damar.
Deus Damar, exactly. So I'm definitely going to butcher your name. Sorry, but Ron Lutra says, happy holidays. Happy holidays to you. Merry Christmas. Happy Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, all the things. Love y'all's content. Thank you. And great to see a viewpoint from a younger reader's view. Yeah, I agree. It is good. So Midigal says, I heard they both conferred stilled, but in the way that an Aes Sedai would confirm it. That's same as Jorge said. Yeah, seems accurate. I haven't seen or heard the things. I'll take y'all's word for it. Winter on the Web says, no confirmation of stilling. Brandon, a bit cagey. Of course Brandon is a bit cagey. He's the king of Raffo, right? I think Rafe only refers to removing her ability to channel for second season. Yeah, so that all sounds right. Yeah, so that was a big deal. Other than that, it was awesome. We already talked about Rand, his triumphant stuff, so I don't know that we have to talk about that anymore unless y'all have any other thoughts on it. You can certainly put those in the comments, and Jonathan can pop them over to us if we need to see those. The very last thing we want to talk about, of course, is the cold closing, which I know that name for it doesn't make any sense, but our kind of epilogue, our post-credit scene without the credits, where we start with the little girl on the beach playing happily, and then some red sails show up. And book readers, of course, know what that means. And yeah, I won't put words into your mouth or thoughts into your head, but a lot of us were excited about that moment. So yeah, a cold question to you without setting you up and trying to influence your thoughts. What did you think about the ending there and all of that stuff?
I think it's mostly book accurate, and I can only think of one reason why they would send the giant wave, because the girl was there, because there's nothing else in sight for miles, and so that shows how messed up they are. Just shows that they are pretty messed up, and I think with the mouthpiece in the Damani's mouth, it definitely shows it. I don't know. You can talk now.
Okay. Yeah. So I what you may be trying to think of, I don't know. That's often when I say that about Brie. It's like she's not trying to think about anything like what I was thinking she was thinking. So, but one thought, it was, when I rewatched this with Brie and my wife, that Rochelle pointed out, my wife, was that the mouthpiece thing, I said on our reaction that I wasn't real sure about it, but it did show kind of the, I actually don't even remember what word I used, but the terribleness of the Shan-Chan. But Rochelle pointed out that she felt that was extremely uncomfortable, and that, and kind of very controlling and taking away their power. The being able to speak is such a huge power thing is what she said. And I agree. And it is unsettling and off-putting, and it should be. And as awesome. I already said in our reaction before that I love the Suldam face paint / tattoos. I like that visual clue that these are not like the others, right? Several commenters have pointed out the whole tidal wave, and like Bree said, it basically maybe being to kill the little girl or something. Which, who knows if that's truly what it's about. I wonder a little bit, this only makes so much sense, but actually, as I'm thinking, remind me in the comment, I'm wanting to say, or Bree may remember, didn't the Shan-Chan like burn their ships or something when they showed up? Didn't they like destroy their ships so they couldn't, or something like that? Or I don't know, maybe I'm remembering something totally off. And I mean, that's a burning of the ships is a cult, a historical thing and whatever else. So maybe I'm sticking stuff together in my head and whatever else. But the only other thing I can think about with the tidal wave is them basically using it to go up further on land. There's this mountainous thing to make it easier for them to be able to get further inland, and then their ships just kind of hang out there. I don't know. So if if the tidal wave had anything to do with the little girl, which would be bizarre at best, then I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, like Bree says, and I've heard other people say the same thing. It ultimately, the point of it, almost certainly, regardless of internal logic, is to show basically how scary the Shanchan are and how callous they are, whatever else. As many people have pointed out, the Shanchan wouldn't just like show up and then start killing random little girls. That would not be the Shanchan's MO. You know, they're trying to conquer, not destroy. You know, they basically let people essentially become Shanchan. And basically are trying to convert the whole world and take it over and whatever else, not just burn everything up and whatever else. If you happen to be a Doctor Who fan, they're not the Daleks who are trying to destroy everybody. They're more like the Cybermen who are trying to convert everybody, right? And so it's a little bit odd. I think internal logic, you know, questionability maybe. I think it works to kind of set the tone and the stage and the questions, because clearly this is a tease for season 2, of course. But yeah. So any other thoughts on that before we dive into our last comments and kind of close this out?
I had another thought with the tsunami that, I mean, they might have done it to disguise or like to make it to where you can't really tell that they're coming in, because all you're looking at is them. You're not worried about the ships. You're worried about the immediate danger, maybe. I don't know. Maybe to disguise their coming is another reason.
Right. Yeah. That's a good... definitely possible. I really personally didn't... The way I interpreted it was scary for the little girl, and I said... When I first watched it and I second watched it, is why is that little girl still standing there? You better run. And I don't that's the biggest question I have personally about that. It was not about them doing the tidal wave because I didn't interpret the tidal wave as having anything to do with the little girl. Like, I didn't interpret them attacking her essentially. I did see some non-book readers that interpreted it that way, and I've seen some book readers that, based on their comments, I think they interpreted it that way as well. But I did not. But I like that thought that it may have just been a almost camouflage tactic and whatever else. And again, my only question is, why is she still standing there? Run.
Maybe the girl could channel too. I don't know.
Well, maybe, and that's.
I mean, she's young, but maybe I don't know.
So let's dive into a few more comments, and we're gonna kind of wrap this up. Hope you all have had a good time. We certainly have, Bree and I hope Jonathan's had a good time managing comments. I'm sure he's doing a great job. I haven't been able to check, but I have faith that he's done amazing. So let's kind of pick up a few more. So Sandan Galactus Teeth should have picked a port instead of a cliff face to send a tsunami. Yeah, and actually that is an interesting thought. It actually ties into kind of what Bree and I were saying a little bit, that maybe they chose not a port and they sent the tsunami there as a thing, and more specifically that they weren't attacking the city, the village, the port, the whatever else, but they were causing a natural disaster instead, to mask it and to cause disorder and disarray, so that they could come in and be the saviors that they want to be. And so I wonder if that's maybe a justification for what they were doing. Maybe I don't necessarily think that's what you were saying, but a thought had arose. So Winter on the Web says, cold closing, super cool, chilling, and exciting. Poorly framed, though, confusing to non-readers and some readers. No real motivation to tsunami. Agreed. The first real motivation I've heard is from my daughter just a few minutes ago, honestly. And other than that, I've not heard of any good reasons for the tsunami. I don't know exactly what specifically you're talking about. The one thing that I mentioned in our reaction, I think Jonathan did as well, if I remember right, was that some of the shots, some of the CG was kind of like rushed, like most of the CG in this episode, honestly speaking. and was a little bit on the janky side, and wasn't as good as I would like to see. But I have faith that that's the Sean can. Ha! No, terrible. Anyway, the Sean Chan are going to look amazing when we get, because the practical part, the paint and some of those things, and the costuming was all really great, in my opinion. And so I think it's going to be really, really good. So there were some things that were kind of a bit janky. The confusingness. So I'm not super stressed about some of the confusingness, because interesting question marks are a good thing if you're going to have kind of a cliffhangery thing at the end to tease another season. So a little bit of confusion I think is okay. I don't know. What do you think about something like did you have any issues with it? Anything that you thought, I mean, you already had said something really great, but.
No, not really. I mean, they weren't too disturbing to me. Not really. I found Burning Out more disturbing than
Some of those visuals.
Yeah, those visuals were scary. But I think the Shan, I mean, they're scary, but kind of like the White Cloaks. They're kind of like they feel like they're doing right. So it's a clean evil, maybe. They're kind of gonna. They're kind of like the White Cloaks a little bit, that they're not all bad guys have to be brutal and whatever. Yeah, they don't have to be.
Well, really, I mean, the worst thing, I mean, about the Sean Chan, book Sean Chan, we haven't seen enough of show Sean Chan to know all of their motivations. But the worst thing, I mean, is the slavery and devaluing of people, right? And so which is awful. Don't misunderstand my smiling face. I'm just having a good time streaming. But yeah, and so that's really the worst, and it is bad. Don't get me wrong. They, in some of the other areas, they have essentially kind of sort of good intentions, misguided and confused because of time and whatever else, and this big, huge, glaring issue needs to be resolved. But like you said, there's in kind of that old school D&D chart, they're kind of the lawful evil a little bit, and whatever else kind of, and so yeah, that's all true. MJ Daniel says maybe it was just a signal. Hello, we're back. Yeah, maybe. Well, and actually, I think that's probably mostly a joke, but if they have some spies over there, maybe it was a signal. That might be reaching a little bit, but maybe. I don't think that's what you meant, but
there's no one really there. There's
no other Sean Chan.
Yeah, I don't even know where the girl came from, because there was like nothing.
Oh. She was just having a nice little picnic at the beach and then decided to watch the giant wall of water. And
yeah, but there's no...
Why are you here? Run away.
Well, she'd have to, climb the mountain and get over the mountain.
Well, still, I would be running somewhere.
Yeah, but, why was she there without anybody?
Oh.
Because it must have been a long way
Bad
from her
parenting.
home.
Terrible.
It's a long way from her
I never would
have
let you be that far away out on the beach by yourself. The crabs would get you.
No, but it has to be a long way from home.
But yeah, from what we saw, yeah, she was on a few miles of beach, seemingly. So last view. So Santa Dan Gloctusty says floating Brigida doll drifts slowly by the docks. That would be ominous for lots of reasons. Yeah. Andreas Vox says, I think they burned other shit. Oh. Yeah, it's back to what I was talking about. Yeah, that's probably more likely. I don't remember what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, it doesn't really talk about their arrival, because they were already
that's true.
there.
We definitely don't see it.
And so it was just, they definitely burned other ships, but I don't think they burned theirs.
So maybe the last comment we get to, Shelly Sadai. I think I was read a comment from your sister. Earlier today. I think somebody said they were your sister. But Shelly Sadai says, I didn't think they could even see the little girl based on how far from shore they were to be able to get enough water to make a wave that high. and it was to help them beach their ships. Yeah, that's exactly how I read it. That's what was going on there, and it had literally nothing to do with the little girl. And I think the little girl was for the audience benefit to kind of frame the scariness and ominousness of what is happening. I doubt that they could see that at all. So yeah, I think we've hit all the episode and all the major things. We've been streaming for a while. Yeah, we're pushing our time. Well, it's a little different than normal, but I've enjoyed it. What do you have any closing thoughts, B, as we're wrapping this stream up?
Not really.
Not really. You heard it here first, folks. If you can't tell, and I didn't really frame the beginning of this, I personally really liked a lot of this episode. Some of the Faldara stuff is wonky and whatnot, and I'm not a huge fan of that. Honestly, some of that stuff is probably some of the weakest of the whole season in my mind right now. But I still loved the episode. And thought it was I really loved the Rand and Ishamael stuff, and thought it was really, really awesome. So yeah, be watching midweek for our Take Two reaction with Jonathan and I, our regular format, and our updated thoughts on this episode, and our live stream on New Year's Day morning, 11 a.m. Central, season 1 wrap-up thoughts and season 2 predictions. We're really excited. Hope you can join us. We shall see you